a lot of that first series, Curtain's Wardrobe, I got myself from just charity shops and Siren, because it was so important to get that right, especially being a mockumentary. It's like you have to believe those characters exist. There's a red linen shirt that I wear in Myth Country in the second episode,
Another one.
which I've had for years, but every time I wash it, it changes colour,
Yeah.
which I love. So it's constantly changing, so it always feels like a new piece of clothing.
Yeah.
There's photos of me, I think they're still on my Facebook, of me walking around London. I've got gaffer tape all over my jeans. I was like, God, what was I thinking?
What's happening, pals? I'm Thomas Griffin, and this is My Own Garms, the podcast where I talk to someone interesting about the gear that they wear. Soz, it's been ages since the last episodes, but we've got an absolute banger for you today to kick off Series 4. I've been down to Gloucestershire to have a chat with actor and lovely bloke Charlie Cooper. I briefly met Charlie at a Waterstones in Bath about 7 years ago, and loads has happened since then. Massive films, becoming a dad, TV documentary series, and Fulham FC have been up, down and back up again. From Kurtan Mucklowe's early morning TK Maxx foraging sprees, through Charlie's short but very sexy modelling career, up to the effortlessly perfect fisherman's jumper he sported in his recent BBC folk mythology series, clothes have been a part of Charlie's professional and personal life for a long time. We'll hear about the formative experiences that have shaped his sense of style and how that's played out in his career so far. Now, before we get cracking on this ep, I want to give a big and heartfelt thank you to Trailberg, who are supporting this series. As I've been saying for the last couple of years, it takes loads of time and costs loads of money to make My Own Garms, so for an ace local brand to step in and support what's happening here means a lot. Go and check them out next time you're in Manchester city centre, or jump on the Insta and tell them that My Own Garms sent you. Cool, let's crack on. This is My Own Garms with Charlie Cooper. My Own Garms. Charlie, thanks a lot for doing this, man. Appreciate it a lot. How was your morning been this morning?
It was a bit stressful this morning. I had to take my son to get his hair cut, which is always a traumatic experience for me and him, mostly me. So he was just sat on my lap screaming for about 25 minutes.
So you got loads of kid hairs like impregnated into your gorgeous jumper.
My God, totally. But he's been rocking this sort of medieval barnet for since he was born. So I thought it was about time to get it cut.
And this is the first pro haircut?
No, he's had a sort of... when I've taken to the hairdressers, I'm so careful about doing,
not to traumatise.
He hates it, so it's just sort of, classic wedge fringe.
Yeah.
But now it's off the ears, so he just looks like a totally different kid. It's really weird.
Transformative. You can really make him look like they're grown up, I think.
Yeah. Oh my God, he's so grown up now. I prefer he's proper Joan of Arc haircut, which I prefer. Sort of miss it.
Yeah, man. Have you got anything at the hairdressers to make the kid feel at home? My little nephew Ned goes to one and you sit him in like a little racing car thing.
They've got one, but he didn't want to go in it.
On the knees, the one.
So he just had to go on the lap, yeah. But they've got loads of lollipops, so he just... But the ones that completely dye your whole mouth blue... By the time I got him back, he was literally like a smurf. It was insane.
Top daddy, man. I imagine the jumper's got an extra tog level on it now with
oh my God,
embedded hairs.
Annoying.
Tell us where we're at this afternoon.
So we're in my local village hall, which is like, I love a village hall. It's sort of like stuck in time. But they are like the foundations to sort of English village life, really.
Rural
Everything
society.
happens here.
Yeah, man.
Parties, weddings, birthdays,
yoga sessions,
wakes, yoga sessions.
And a beautiful parquet floor. Liam, who's on the camera, remarked as soon as we got in, it's like, this is a stunning floor. Let's get plenty of that in shot.
Shines up well.
Shout out Box Village Hall for having us along. I know we mentioned it in the bonus section, but congrats on Myth Country. I watched the whole thing in a night. On the night it came out, it's an absolute triumph. Who was in charge of the wardrobe on that one?
Well, there wasn't a huge amount of budget, so I had to do everything myself, which was nice, but it was quite unnerving just because I've not done anything where I'm being myself, really. Normally it's sort of character clothing, so... And it's one of those you've got to be careful not to overthink. And I think, there were times when I probably did. And then you're looking it back, you think, I shouldn't have worn that. I should have worn something else. But I wanted something to sort of my clothes really to fit the feel of the show. So something that's, stuff that's really simple and plain. I was watching a lot of Michael Palin.
Yeah,
so
man.
A lot of shirts and sort of chinos and stuff.
I was going to say Chris Packham core. It's got that kind of like, so he rocks a good mixture of jumpers and technical wear on whatever programs he's on. Really,
spring watching. So I actually think he's a bit of a fashion icon.
Yeah.
He wears these shirts that are slightly, a bit rockabilly actually, but he really pulls them off. And then he does the whole fleece and, Gore-Tex rain jacket, which is, he wears it well.
Yeah, he was rocking them before it became widely accepted to be cool, and now retrospectively everyone's like style icon.
It totally is. But I remember seeing him on Spring Watch once, and he did this amazing thing where he wore sort of like a mountain equipment Gore-Tex rain jacket, but then wore a fleece over it. And it was just the coolest thing I've ever seen. And it just worked.
Layer God.
Oh my, he's a layer god. And also this mountain equipment fleece that he had, and I bought the same one, and it's like this sort of kelpie colour, so it's sort of a weird green. But it looked good. It looked so good.
I'm glad you've been able to draw on these unsung heroes of the fashion world for yours, man.
There's a few. There's another Monty Don as well.
Okay.
So he's
Gardener's World.
Gardener's World.
All right.
He wears the sort of old French work gear and like great linen shirts and like button down, sort of literally just above the belly button.
Yeah.
Which is
so you're going to channel that one when you do the spring summer version of Mythical.
Oh my God, big time. Yeah. Each series just another button comes undone. But he wears it well, better than I would.
Well, I think you've smashed it. Like the pitch we picked out in the bonus footage is glorious. That gorgeous fisherman's jumper.
Thanks.
Nailed it. So this is documentary format, and you mentioned there it being a bit kind of odd showing that side of your character on screen, but it feels like a kind of natural progression to me, and you really look natural doing it. So does that kind of format feel like you're achieving your final form on television? Yeah,
I mean, we wanted to make something that was like, we didn't want it to be like a conventional documentary where I would be talking down the lens and with lots of voiceover, and we wanted it to be light-hearted and accessible. And I think, talking to a director who's off camera sort of helps it feel way more natural and like you're there on my shoulders sort of thing. And it, experiencing the journey with me. Yeah, and I guess in the same feel as stuff like Gone Fishing, which I love, and it's a real sort of lovely pace to it and a real gentle feel and a bit of a comfort watch. So I think we wanted all those elements in this, but at the same time, it's a difficult balancing act actually, because we wanted it to be factual and intriguing enough for people to be able to be inspired to go and look these sort of folk tales up or these legends up, but also have a bit of humour so it, it draws you in. So it's tonally, we're trying to do a few things. So it was quite complex in the end. But by the third episode, I think we've really hit home what the show was about. But I just totally loved doing it because it was just indulging in all my passions, love folklore, but also love being outside, and it never felt like work or anything. Yeah. It was just fun.
It's gorgeous, man. I think the authenticity really shines through on screen.
Oh, thank you.
Did you... I mean, obviously not crafted it entirely yourself, but do you feel in charge of the narrative a bit as you're making it?
Yeah, totally. I mean, creatively, it was great because, there isn't really a script.
Yeah.
We sort of have a loose narrative that we want to weave in the show, so a sense that there's an odyssey going on. But we wanted a rawness to it, so we wanted it to be a bit lo-fi and a bit, including the crew, and occasionally you might see a booming shot, but that's great because it makes it real and sort of like you're on the hoof and a bit ramshackle, which is definitely the vibe we're going for. So that was really exciting to me, and because there's such a small crew, you can be you can chop and change, you can be flexible, and if you get an idea to do something on a specific location, you can do it, and that's so lovely. So creatively, it's like the perfect thing. You're not waiting around for anything.
Yeah, man.
And
I guess it must have felt a lot like home. Like, am I right in saying that This Country director was had a documentary? Obviously, that's a mockumentary style, that comedy. But did you learn a lot from your time on that about the kind of documentary making style?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we wanted to. I mean, This Country was, again, like there'd been loads of mockumentaries at the time, but we were thinking, okay, how can we make this, take it up a level? So we had real strict rules in terms of how we shot that, and we wanted that to be as authentic as possible. Like, what would a real documentary crew do?
Yeah.
I think we did that. And then with Myth Country, it was just like, taking elements of that show that, I really loved and I felt worked and that I thought would work nicely in this. So it was a nice, there's a lot of parallels. But I think that helps people frame the show in a better sense.
Yeah, defo, man.
Yeah.
Well, smashed it. And I hope you get a load more series so I can watch it.
So would I. Great.
Rep your ends.
You grew up not too far from where we are today in Cirencester. What kind of clothes did you see around you as a kid growing up, and what effect did they have on you?
Oh, wow. I mean, so rural England. So this was like 90s. So we're a few years behind like the big cities, obviously pre-internet. A lot of football shirts, that was a big thing. And it sort of still is now, although I feel like it's coming back. And then a lot of like, sort of American like surf brands, like Quicksilver.
Yeah, man.
So that was big, like at school.
And is that what you were rocking? You got into those things heavily?
Yeah, we'd like every Saturday, me and my mates would get the bus to Cheltenham, and there'd be like a sort of like a skater shop there. And we'd spend, 20 quid on a Quicksilver t-shirt, which was a fortune at that time. And then you'd wear it for about 3 years and wouldn't take it off.
What would your parents say when you came home with a 20 quid shirt? Did you have to tell them it was a tenner rather
I
than
wouldn't
20?
tell them. I wouldn't tell them. But yeah, they'd be shocked, I think. And like DC trainers, like,
What era? Plump or slimline?
Oh, plump.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely like really baggy jeans.
Yeah, man.
But it was all like, throughout my life, I guess, like the way I've dressed has been fairly influenced by the music I was listening to. So that time it was like Blink 182, and Sum 41, and
same, man.
Classic, yeah.
And it was great that you could dress like them if you put or a kind of like small town English version of them.
Yeah, totally. I loved that.
Were you doing skateboarding, or were you just like rocking the garms?
I was skateboarding, but I was hopeless. Literally couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
But I did love all the fashion that went with it, and because in that time, the only time you could see music that you really liked was on the music channels. So before internet, I sound so old, but you genuinely wait for ages till your favourite music video came on.
The MTV glossy version of that skate culture was so like, what's the word? Aspire. You wanted to aspire to be like it. Hair spikes, like chains. Everything to be like the people you saw on there.
Wallets on a chain.
Yeah, man.
And there was a great shop in Cheltenham. It was called JJ's or something. But they used to sell these studs that everyone was obsessed with, and you put them on your backpack.
Yeah, man.
Some people put on their clothes, but so like the arms on your backpack just had studs. It was like the coolest thing. And also band patches, like Smashing Pumpkins or Slipknot. Yeah.
How loose was the school uniform code at yours? Could you get away with studs on your bag?
Yeah, you could do that. Yeah, it was like polo shirts and jumpers, so it wasn't really strict.
I'm always interested in how much people could tweak their school uniform, because it's like a rigid thing that everyone has to adhere to, but there's certain bits about how you tie your tie or what earring you can get away with.
So my sister was 3 years above me at school, and when she was there, they still had the white shirts and ties.
Yeah.
And her and her mates used to have the ties that had the massive knot and then like 2 inches of tie. It was insane, but it was like the cool thing.
It's anything to be other than the norm, isn't it? I think at that age.
Completely.
You just want to rebel in some way.
Yeah, and having like a tribe, the way you all do the same thing.
Real, man.
Love that.
Yeah, I don't know if musicians quite have the same stranglehold on what kids wear these days, but that was the only source, I think, when I was when you were little.
Well, it's changed now. It's like you can be into anything you want to be because of the internet.
Yeah. You
have access to buying stuff online, Amazon, whatever. It's like so easy now. It wasn't even in the 90s or early noughties. It wasn't. Yeah,
better times. In the intro, I mentioned Kurtan Mucklowe, your character in this country's wardrobe. A load of the clothes in this country are brilliantly selected, but focusing on Kurtan's gear for a sec, how much of that was taken from your own personal fashion experiences?
Oh, loads, yeah. I mean, a lot of that first series, Curtain's Wardrobe, I got myself from just charity shops and Siren, because it was so important to get that right, especially being a mockumentary. It's like you have to believe those characters exist. If you don't, then it's sort of the show's ruined a little bit. And for me, I think, for me and Daisy, when we're writing characters, so often we'd start with what they're wearing. Because it's like, it says so much about their personality and their character and what they want people to see them as. And I think Curtain's a great character because he loves his garms. Like, he really, takes great pride in his clothes. And so it was quite easy. And then there's, we had loads of curtains in Siren Sister, so there was plenty...
second-hand stuff.
Yeah, in the charity shops. But stuff like Bench and Mackenzie.
No Fear's the one, innit?
Yeah, No Fear's the big one, yeah.
But he does care, man. He cares so much. Like, and, from the outside, it might be the kind of clothes that he might get the piss taken out of him in a big city, but he's got his own aesthetic rules and his own, there's a bit in it that I think is really beautiful, echo with me about him going to TK Maxx at certain times of day when he knows new bits have been in. That's like proto hype beast stuff. People queuing up outside Supreme, but he was doing it at TK Maxx.
Big time. That was from childhood experience. Yeah, like I said, going to Cheltenham with my mates on a Saturday, we'd definitely go to TK Maxx. We had to time it right, but there was a lot of sort of being on all fours, rummaging underneath the rails for stuff that's been trodden on, and but you do get little bits of treasure if you look hard enough.
Can you remember any particular TK Maxx gems that you got from there?
Oh God. Actually, was it from TK? I remember having this, it was an awful jacket. And we actually found one that Curtain wears in this country, but it's super dry jacket.
Okay, yeah.
But remember the ones that had like 4 zips? It's like none of them providing any function, really. And it was just insane. But at that age,
what colour was it? Black and orange?
It was black and orange, but the one Curtain wears in the show was white, which was even worse. Super dry, which I thought was so cool. But looking back, it's just, horrendous. I mean, no offence to any makers of super dry. Sorry.
Sponsor us, please. I find it interesting that some people say they don't care about clothes, but I think that everyone does a bit more than they let on. I know Curtain overtly does, but people just have different aesthetic codes, I think. And even if you don't care about them, you kind of are still saying something about yourself by wearing what you wear.
So true. I mean, I would often say that I don't care, but deep down I definitely do care. And even like with Kerry, the sort of characters there's a mixture of characters we based Kerry and Curtain on from our town, really. And there's a lot of ourselves in those characters, but I think there was one girl in Siren Sister who'd always wear a Swindon shirt, so it was like that became Kerry's uniform. That was so important, and it was nice going through eBay and getting like the old vintage Swindon shirts just to pepper in and to mix it up.
We looked at a stunning picture of you from your modelling era in the Fit Pick Breakdown bonus section. How old were you when you first started doing that?
I was sort of early mid-20s.
Okay, and how did it feel to be putting that kind of style of clothing on at that age?
It was, strange to begin with, but I ended up really enjoying it. I got street cast originally by a stylist called Max Pierman. And he's like, he's done everything basically. And at the time, I was so sort of skeptical because it's like one of those you think it's going to be one of those con things. You pay 100 quid.
Yeah.
But he was like, I'm doing a shoot with David Sims, who I didn't know at the time, but my girlfriend at the time was like, oh my God, he's a really big photographer. So that was my first shoot. And the whole thing was based on it was based about Johnny Lydon from Pill and Sex Pistols. Yeah. And I guess I vaguely look, bad teeth, vaguely look like. So the whole shoot was based on that, and I really, really loved it. And it was my first experience of being in front of a camera, because before I'd never done any acting, and I was never meant to be in this country, really. I was just sort of co-writing it with Daisy, and she'd always done like the drama school route.
Yeah.
But doing the modelling was like my first experience of being in front of the camera, it was, if I'd gone straight into the acting, I think it would have been so overwhelming. So it was an amazing stepping stone, just being used to people looking at you and standing there. And it sort of served me well and gave me the confidence to be able to do the acting later on. when she was like, look, you've got, you're the only one who can do the accent, so you've got to be in it. So I was like, fine.
It looked like you were quickly into the high-end stuff, though. You didn't like cut your teeth with a little local modelling job thing. It looked like you were straight into glossy.
Yeah, so I mean, I did a real mixture of stuff, like a lot of editorials, but and some sort of some mad clothes, expensive clothes. But again, it just gave me the confidence in terms of my own style and just sort of being at peace with the way I look as well, which is like, I'm a bag of bones essentially, but that's all right actually when it comes to wearing clothes. So.
Yeah, it looks great, man. Like at that time in your life, outside of the modelling thing, what kind of stuff would you have been wearing, like casually?
Well, there's a time where I was really skint at the time.
Yeah.
And I mean, I still shop at charity shops, but it was really a lot of charity shops just because it was cheap. But it was amazing what you can find. You can find some amazing brands. I found like Stone Islands and stuff, and Fred Perry, and those are stuff you treasure, and for next to nothing. So it was like sort of an eclectic mix, but it wasn't too. But doing the modelling definitely gave me confidence to wear stuff that I wouldn't have worn normally, I think.
Yeah. It was that, like, a lot of the stuff that I've seen you in is kind of like skinny, indie looking stuff. And I guess the music of that time, when you've grown out of the skate punk thing, was that like sleazy indie leather jackets and stuff. Time. So it must have felt like you were channeling that spirit of the times a little bit in them shots. Yeah,
I mean, I've been through many like clothing stages. But I remember I was at uni in like the mid-noughties, and it was all like... sort of, I'd shop at Top Man, which is like, looking back, it's like V-neck and like 3-button shirts.
Yeah, man, I had exactly them.
And being skinny, they would never look good. You had to have a bit of muscle. Yeah. But also those daps, these like canvas daps with a big thing, skinny jeans, and those sort of like neon hoodies.
Yeah, the new rave era.
Yeah, new rave, and like sweep hair, so bad.
I was onto all that, man. But yeah, the Topshop, I guess Topshop were doing the kind of like attainable version of the indie sleaze, Hedy Slimane, helmet line, the Strokes and that lot were all rocking. You could do a version of that looked good on campus at uni.
100%. At the time, you felt like the bollocks, but yeah, looking back,
it's like you're in fancy dress, I guess.
That's not me.
I love how you dress now. It looks very effortless, very chic. Are there any eras that you look back on and think, what was I playing out there?
I mean, I was obsessed with Pete Doherty for a good few years. I sort of still am. I mean, he's an absolute style icon. But I did the whole, like early Libertines, when he used to wear these sort of like, he used to put gaffer tape around his jeans. That had, it was like falling apart, but I thought it was the coolest thing ever, and I did exactly the same. So there's photos of me, I think they're still on my Facebook, of me walking around London. I've got gaffer tape all over my jeans. I was like, God, what was I thinking?
That was to look dishevelled for him, or like the punky look a little bit?
Yeah, punky, sort of dishevelled. I mean, he's always been a bit dishevelled, isn't he? But he is a style icon.
And do you feel like yours was pure pastiche? Maybe?
Yeah, but he always used to, he'd shop at sort of like charity shops and retro shops, and I found that really inspiring.
Yeah,
because it meant anyone can do it.
Yeah,
and again, it was finding stuff that was like, the old Marks and Spencer's clothing, like Saint Michel.
Saint Michel, well made.
Wear loads like old sort of grandpa 70s knitwear or shirts. Knitwear. You see it all the time in charity shops, but it sort of worked, and you felt close to being your idol because he was shopping probably in the same places as I was, which was great.
Yeah, man. But I guess he was making great art at the same time, which gives the clothes that you wear energy and power.
Definitely,
doesn't it?
And it was really British stuff. It was like of an old British time, which was really nice. It wasn't Americanized. Which was a phase that I had moved out of by then, which is great.
Albion and all that, whatever it was that he wrote about.
Dreamy Albion.
Moving forward a few years, you were one of the first people I saw on the internet making outdoor gear look cool. way ahead of the court
very
curve.
kind.
Nah, man, it's true. 2017, 2018, defo. Did you used to have an orange Arky jacket back in the day? Am I right in thinking?
Yeah, I had it was a red one actually.
Ah,
I've got an orange one
okay.
now, but it was a red one. Yeah, that I got from eBay, but I don't have it anymore.
How much did you pay for it on eBay in 2017?
It was still over. It must have been over 100 quid.
Yeah.
or about 100 quid maybe.
But that 2 years down the line would have been 250 quid.
Yeah,
So
totally.
you were ahead of the curve is what I'm getting round to saying. But tell us a little bit about outdoor gear and how that's played a part in your wardrobe over the years.
Well, I mean, anything practical, I think, is great. But again, they're so like an Arky jacket. The way it's made is so insane. Like the stitching, it's so beautiful.
Space age.
Again, it's that thing of like, you want something that's going to be good for, doing the job.
Yeah.
And if you get a good waterproof, that could last you a really long time, and they're the best. But I think as I've got older, I've appreciating like slimming the wardrobe down, but getting stuff that are for the right moment, basically. And having a good waterproof, a really good fleece, like a proper one.
Have you got one at the moment that's doing the job?
Yeah, again, Ferrer, they do amazing fleece, and it is honestly, I mean, I should show it to you after this actually, because it's that good.
Class.
But it feels like you're being hugged when you wear it, which is really nice. So yeah, it's just, I love practical clothes, and since being a dad, it's so important. You just got to be prepared for any eventuality.
Yeah, man. Ferrer, I've not got any of their kit, but from what I've seen, it's not the kind of like neon, hyper colourful stuff that you get in a lot of outdoor. Is it a little bit more neutral tones and stuff, but we're still the same technical?
Yeah,
prowess?
really simple stuff, but stuff you can again style with anything, and it's just but outdoor stuff that looks really good. Yeah, and you could wear it to anything really.
Yeah. When I first saw you rocking that stuff on Instagram, I think you might have been doing some like through hikey camping, like camp overnighty stuff.
Oh yeah,
so you're really putting it to the test,
Yeah, before kids, I was free back then, which was a beautiful time. We'd me and a mate would go hiking in Scotland, do sort of like the West Highland Way we did for a few nights.
Class,
which was
man.
amazing. But we were both like loved our gear, so it was all about the gear. So the jackets and the backpacks, but I love all that. It makes it way more fun and satisfying.
I think it's a real good vehicle for men sometimes that perhaps might struggle to have a pure aesthetic conversation to discuss clothes if they are functional, be it fishing gear, outdoor gear, running gear. Like
people feel they can justify it.
Yeah. It's weird. It's probably not ideal, but it's great and fun to chat about.
Completely. I love it. Yeah.
And I don't know if we all remember we were talking about fishing and stuff, but is that another outdoor aesthetic that you like and kind of lean into?
I do, but it's a shame because no one really sees you when you're fishing. So it's like, you think, oh, what's the point? But yeah, I mean, you got to be careful of wearing bright colours, but sort of you want to blend into your environment a little bit.
To attract the
But
prey.
but I love a fishing waistcoat, which anything with pockets is great.
And there's nothing more pocketed than a fishing waistcoat.
Fishing waistcoat, it's brilliant.
If we were to open those pockets, would they all be serving a purpose on your fishing waistcoat?
Oh yeah, so you've got hooks in one, bit of line in another, lead shot and sort of chest pocket. Yeah, so everything has a place. But I love that. I've got like a really old, I think I got it from eBay, but a green Barber fishing waistcoat, which I absolutely love. And it's got like a little tufted white sort of sheepskin patch where you can keep your hooks and your flies.
Class.
Which is great. But yeah, stuff that serves a purpose is the best.
Man. Do you make your own like lures and stuff?
No, I mean I don't really fly fish. I don't
That's
make
for that, is it? Okay.
Yeah,
I'm
flies.
a new fishing, so.
But I sort of tie the lines to my own, sort of make my own rigs basically, which I do love doing. But again, it depends what type of fishing you do. It depends on the style you do. But I do love the sort of gentleman, sort of fly fisherman gear they used to wear, and tweed and stuff like that. It's such a British thing.
Yeah, it seems like one of them things that's got its own strict aesthetic codes, and things like where and how long you've had something might convey something to other fishers. Like,
Yeah,
you know, if you've
totally.
got a well-aged hat that just fits your head perfectly, it's never been washed. Like, is that currency in that kind of...
Oh, big time.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know they've caught a fair few fish.
Yeah.
They know what they're talking about. So you're always best getting advice from the more faded the cap, the better. The better advice you get.
I hear your voice on Mundials reminding you why you love football podcasts nearly every week. Do you hear your own voice? Do you listen to that one every now and again?
Yeah, I do. It's always weird.
To hear your own voice.
I hate, watching myself or listening to myself is the most torturous thing.
Yeah. But shout out Mundial.
Oh, big time.
Top bunch of fellas doing proper ace footy journalism. But yeah, what I'm getting on to saying is tell us about following Fulham. You mentioned football shirts being a big part of your childhood there. Were you the only Fulham fan in your school?
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, football shirts have always been a huge thing. Like, I remember, like, my dad would sometimes like work away, like in Europe and stuff. And
So he's a Fulham fan too, right?
yeah, and he would come back and, you know, wherever he's been, like Rotterdam, he'd get like a Sparta Rotterdam away shirt.
Man.
When I was like 7 or 8.
Wow.
And I'd be like, oh, the best thing. So you'd wear it, you know, in sort of lunchtime in the school playground. And thought you were the dogs.
Well, you would have been. Like,
Yeah.
you think that was currency at school, like a rare footy shirt from Europe. Come on.
Completely, which is why I'm still sort of obsessed with, you know, collecting football shirts wherever I go. But it's that, it's a nostalgia thing. And any sort of kid's holiday, I'd always wear a Fulham shirt, no doubt. That's
Repping your ends.
Had to, yeah.
But even when I've seen you doing the big European away days, I think you did a trip out watching England, like
Yeah.
you wear football shirts, but there's always that nostalgic note to them, the ones that you seem to choose. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, I've got this 98 England track top, the green flag one. I found in a charity shop in Swindon for about $2.50, genuinely.
Wow.
And it was like, I couldn't believe my luck. This was a few years ago now, but yeah, any major tournament, dust it down from the back of the wardrobe and wear it. But I just, I don't know. I just like, for me, it's like, did you ever collect football stickers as a kid,
big
like
time.
Panini stickers?
Yeah.
I feel like it's a grown-up version of that, collecting football shirts. It's like, I don't know. It just, again, it makes you feel closer to the sport you love. And
Yeah.
you want to devour football because it's just the best thing.
And when you're out there, do you get nods of approval from other, like, you see a little side eye on it? Like,
I mean, there's the big thing now is like doing festivals, isn't it? Going to, you know, wearing a gold classic football shirt at a festival.
man.
You get a sort of nod of approval. But yeah, it's like a tribal thing, isn't it?
Yeah, man.
Love
but
it.
the other side of the tribalness in football, I suppose, do you wear a shirt when you go watching Fulham, or is that pure terrace wear?
No, don't tend to. I might wear a scarf, but don't really wear colours. Because that was like, my dad, even as a kid, my dad would be like, you know, put your shirt away, we can get beaten up. I'm
Yeah.
like, come on. Beat up a 5-year-old kid. So I think he's slightly giving me PTSD. But, and like, we could never ever have any football stickers on the car. I was
Okay.
convinced the car would get
Bricks through
smashed
them.
up.
Yeah, man.
I mean, I there is a certain age where you can't really wear football shirts at a game. Do you agree? Especially a new one.
Yeah, it's not cool, is it?
You can't put your name on the back either.
Yeah, very juvenile. Isn't
Or
it?
sort of, unless you're a granddad, it's like granddad sort of 76 or whatever. That's sweet, but
Yeah. So what would a standard match day outfit look like on you these days?
I mean, I always used to make the mistake of just not being warm enough. So again, it's the practical thing. So I just wear sort of a lot of layers. That's so important in a football game because you're outside for 2 hours.
Yeah.
But in terms of style, I don't know. There was a period where I wore a bit of Stone Island, but I just don't think I'm cut out for it. I'm too weedy.
It's fun though, isn't it? The
It is
cosplaying.
fun, because it's like, again, tribal, and it's you get sort of swept up in the atmosphere. And
Yeah.
I love it.
Brings
But
out a different side of your personality, maybe.
yeah, but because Forest Green Football Club, they're just down the road,
Yeah.
you know, literally 20-minute walk from here. But I've been to a few games this season, and you've got like 14, 15-year-old kids, basically La Firm, and they're all got sort of CP gear and Stone Island, but I sort of love that. It's like proper identity, group of mates going out on a Saturday afternoon, and you can tell they love it, and I really appreciate that.
And it's objectively nice gear as well. So we chatted briefly about your interest with British folklore and tradition as exemplified by the Mythcountry BBC series and that absolutely class Weird Walks podcast that you did. It's an area not known for its kind of sartorial prowess, but have there been any interesting clothing angles that you've discovered while you've been doing your research for those programmes?
Well, I think in terms, folklore, I mean, stuff that's really pre-loved, like really pre-loved. So stuff's well worn, and we were talking about it earlier, but being able to repair clothes, I think is really important. And like having, I love a fisherman's jumper like this, but I've probably got 3 in my wardrobe, and probably 3 that I'll have forever. But, I'm sort of intent on repairing it when I need to. I think that's obviously environmentally so important now.
Yeah.
In a time of fast fashion. And I always feel guilty of buying something new. I mean, I do buy new stuff if I like something. But I'll always try and do secondhand, like eBay and Vinted. And, but I love the idea of stuff becoming weathered the more you wear it, like the work jackets and stuff. And there's a red linen shirt that I wear in Mythcountry in the second episode.
Another one.
Which I've had for years, but every time I wash it, it changes colour.
Yeah.
Which I love. So it's constantly changing, so it always feels like a new piece of clothing.
Yeah.
I think as folk culture is it's definitely a rising interest, particularly with young people.
Defo, man.
Because people are rejecting sort of, all the modern bollocks that is going on. And they're sort of appreciating the sort of nostalgic elements and of like simple stuff, a simple time. And
do you think it's cool yet, or do you think it rejects cool? And that's what people like about it? Yeah,
I don't know. When folk cultures come back, because it's creeping into music and definitely into fashion. If you see big brands now really like adopting that folky vibe.
Story MFG, you aware of their work?
Yeah,
it's a bit folky to me. The things that like Morris gear and stuff is really odd, like quite avant-garde, and like there's a folk figure, I don't know if you know anything about it, that's like all grass, looks like bales of straw or something.
Oh yeah, straw bear basically. Yeah,
straw bear, like that kind of stuff is mad, like experimental.
Yeah, there's a guy called the Bury Man up in Scotland, which is like he sort of covered himself in burrs. It's such an incredible thing.
Burrs, like the stuff that sticks in your jumper.
Totally. So it's an amazing costume. The great thing about Morris dance, I love all like the badges and the patches like people sew on. We talked about this earlier, but
one from each particular time
that you'd get from
met.
like a beer festival or like a folk festival or whatever. But I love the idea of collecting something and putting that on your clothes. I think man. It's like when you go to German football matches, and there's all the biker guys with the patches of like the football clubs. I think that's great. Something that you can keep adding.
Weave a story into it, like
and that's nostalgic because it's like Scouts, isn't it?
Yeah, man.
Like the beavers when you used to put on your swimming.
Were you a beaver?
I wasn't actually. I really wish I was.
Still time.
But I remember sewing my swimming patches you'd get for like swimming a length. You'd sew it onto your towel. I thought that's the coolest thing ever.
It is, man. Adorning yourself in your own history.
Yeah, it is a little bit. I think folk there's a lot of that. It's like something that can tell a story, I think is really nice.
Yeah, more of this stuff, please. Fashion brands.
Yeah.
Top 3 selected.
I'd like a top 3 from you, please. We talked about a well-worn hat in the FitPick breakdown bonus footage, but I'd like to know the top 3 most worn items of clothing that you'd ever owned.
Oh, wow.
That's hard, man. I'm sorry.
The pants I'm wearing now.
Okay.
They've got holes everywhere. There's one that I've got, this Guernsey fishing jumper that I've had for ages, and I don't think I've ever washed it. Is that bad?
I think that's beautiful, man. You don't look like a smelly dude. Like, are you a naturally scentless individual?
It doesn't smell that bad, or I don't think it does. But there's a great line in People Just Nothing where they say, at some point, clothes just do wash themselves. So that's the philosophy I'm going with. That is something I've worn, on the bank, but just so versatile. And a good old Guernsey jumper is just such a staple.
What is it? What's a Guernsey jumper?
So it's got like the neck that is like, it's one that you can actually wear both. It doesn't matter which way round you wear it.
Mad, all right.
So you got to keep switching it basically. But they're just so well made and so comfortable. Great material. I just love them. Yeah.
I think I've got a dressing gown that's made out of like nylon or whatever, you know, one of them fluffy ones from Marks and Spencer's that aren't mad expensive, and it's a synthetic fibre, and I put it on and then I take it off and like, fucking hell, that stinks, man. Like hums after 1 or 2 wears, you know, put it on with no shirt, whatever, goes in the washing machine. But something like that that's natural fabrics, you can wear and it don't wash, and it never...
Because they're breathable.
Yeah.
And what's great, and it has like a specific pattern. I mean, I think the tradition is that different fishing villages had a specific pattern that was woven on the front.
Like a tartan, like a tribal tartan.
Yeah, I mean, it's all the same colour.
Yeah.
But it's like if you were a fisherman and you fell overboard and drowned and they rescued your body, they would be able to identify you from what village you were, from what pattern you had on your jumper.
Sick.
Which again, I just love. That's so great.
That's beautiful, man.
But hopefully I don't sort of drown. But if I do, then you know where to take me.
Back to a town that you didn't come from in the first place.
Yeah, exactly.
Is there anything else in the wardrobe? I'm happy to leave it at one because I know that's a fucking massively tough question.
It is tough. I mean, again, I've always mentioned it, but the red linen shirt. I mean, I've had it for years, but again, because it keeps changing colour every time I wash it.
Gets better with every wash.
It gets better with age. And I love it. It's just items of clothing that I know I'll never, ever chuck.
Nice. I wish we still had the Farlow hat, because I imagine that would have been one that would have stayed as part of the headwear for years.
Genuinely would have stayed. Yeah. God, who's wearing it now? If anyone's wearing it.
Yeah, if anyone is wearing it, then send it in, post P.O. box.
Yeah, return it.
Please.
Big reward.
Is there anyone that you've worked with on the films or telly that you've thought, fuck me, you look $1 million, you dress cool?
Well, you probably.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, 100%. I was trying to think of this the other day. I can't really think. I mean...
No one jaw-dropping there?
Well, because you don't often get to see people in their everyday gear. I mean, especially with other actors and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I have worked with Chris Packham, again, we mentioned it before.
Have you?
But
what was that on?
That was just on like a panel show, like on Sky. But I did make a point of mentioning how much of a style icon he is.
Nice, man.
For me, which he loved.
Me and Chris Packham, basically, is the answer to that question.
Right.
Oh, mate, I'm so flattered. How's the big jacket selection looking for the oncoming winter? Are you all sorted, or is there anything you've got your eye on at the moment?
No, do you know what? I'm not sorted. I really want like a big sort of woolen sort of like trench coat type thing. Is it a raglan jacket? They call it like a bit like a Sherlock Holmes where you can just... Okay. But I don't know if I have the confidence to rock it. But something... I'm trying to think of...
big thick overcoat kind of thing.
Yeah. What's that film with that French actor? And he's makes friends with that girl. What is it? It's a classic. But he wears this amazing coat in it, and he's a bit of an icon.
Okay.
Leon.
Yeah. What's the actor called?
The Hitman film.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
I have seen that. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll look that one up.
So a coat like that, but just one that you can just... It's a bit of a, what you call Flasher's coat.
Okay.
I mean, I wouldn't be doing anything like that.
Up on the common.
Yeah.
Yeah, a raglan trench, like, you know, you can throw it on top of anything. It can be dressed up, can be dressed down.
Totally.
Just super cool.
But in like the real winter cold months, you could just...
hunker down.
Yeah.
Beautiful, man. We'll have a little look on eBay or Vinted. Are you a big Vinted-er?
I am, yeah. My partner got me involved in that. It's great.
It's slippery slope.
It is, but I still like to sell clothes on as well, because I feel like, you know, it's being able to sort of have a constant cycle of it's really important.
I feel that too. It's a good psychological cleansing thing to send it on to somewhere new.
I really like that.
But I'm sure that kind of big coat is the kind of thing you can get a real bargain on there, I think. That particular kind.
Because I'm happy to take a punt on stuff.
Yeah, knowing that you can nip down to the local, mind you, I bet round here your local impost locker's about 6 miles away, isn't it?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, it is, I think.
How is dad life treating you at the moment, and how well dressed are your children?
Oh God, it's hard. We've got 2. We had 2 under 2, so it's like been fucking insane. Yeah. I mean, in terms of dressing them, I've got this thing. I hate parents who dress their kids. Is like mini versions of them, but with like branded stuff and like, you know, designer. I just think you've got to let your kid be a kid.
Yeah.
And I just think we get all our clothes. There's an amazing sort of kids charity shop in Brimscombe near here called Kids Stuff, and it's got loads of clothes, like a warehouse of clothes. So you get everything from there for them, and you can get great stuff. But again, because they grow out of it so quickly, if it's like criminal to buy something that's new for kids. But Sid, I mean, he's 2 and a bit, but he's just started. He's becoming a little bit aware of what clothes he's wearing.
Right, interesting.
And I was trying to put on this dinosaur jumper for him this morning, and he wasn't having any of it. He didn't like it, but he's obsessed.
Dinosaurs the last month.
Yeah,
all right.
Apparently. But he's obsessed with this striped T-shirt. He just loves wearing that. So it's mad how young you become aware of stuff like that.
Man.
So,
Like, I remember liking striped jumpers a lot when I was really, really, really young. And that question I was asking about the through thread, I think that has lasted my entire life. So
Yeah.
I don't know where you get these aesthetic wants from, but it must be interesting as a dad to see them emerge for the first time.
It's quite clearly ingrained on them for a young age. But I do have satisfaction in dressing them up, you know, in any old bollocks as well.
Yeah.
It's great. Poor kids.
It's
bad
fun.
haircuts, bad clothes.
Super cute for the future pictures, though. You don't want to you don't want to be a well-dressed kid on a picture looking back in 20 years.
Yeah,
do you?
it looks weird.
Yeah.
I really feel like a trendy kid is like, oh, no.
You've other concerns, haven't you? Like,
Yeah.
not twatting your head on a coffee table.
Yeah, oh my
like
God.
that.
A lot of that.
Last question for you. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you care about clothes?
Well, yeah, I mean, as I mentioned it earlier, like I like to say that I don't care, no, I don't think about it, but deep down, I think I really do. Because I've never seen myself as someone that's like, I'm not really an extrovert. Or despite the work I do, I always feel, you know, I feel like a wolf in sheep's clothing a little bit.
Okay.
You know, a bit of an imposter. So it's like, yeah. What was the question again?
I need a number from you. Scale of 1 to 10, how much do you care?
I think I do. Yeah, I think it's got to be a 9. I do care.
Hi, man.
But you know when you've picked an outfit for the day, and you're like you've gone somewhere in that outfit, and you know that thing of regret, it hangs over me. Does it you?
Yeah, I think so, man. Like,
But then again, you're so well dressed all the time. You don't get that.
Like, a lot of the times when I've looked, because in the first series of this, I was trying to wear a different set of clothes for every episode, and some of them were really thrown together, like scrabbling around, and I've looked back at them on camera and thought, fuck man, what am I doing there? Like, it's super hasty. It's not something I'd ever worn before.
Yeah.
And I feel you need to ease into an outfit, maybe refine it a little bit, maybe wear a different pair of socks the next time or a different hat with it, and I don't know, and then you find certain things that you're comfortable in, and I think that comfortableness shows.
Totally, and that's really important. Like to have, to spend a day where you know you feel comfortable to do anything because of the clothes you wear.
Yeah.
Is actually, I mean, it sounds sort of pathetic, but it's important.
It's empowering, man.
Yeah, definitely.
Charlie, thanks a million for doing this, dude. Appreciate your time.
Pleasure.
Nice one.
Thank you.
What a gem of a bloke. Thanks again, Charlie, for being an ace guest. And if you want more with Charlie, then hit subscribe, because we'll be dropping another 15 minutes of fit pick breakdown goodness in your feeds later on this week. Honestly, it's a dead good one, with Charlie talking about the best type of jumper to make crop circles in, Saint Laurent cowboy shirts and perfect caps. Big shout out to my pal Liam for making the road trip down to Stroud and helping out on the recording on this episode, and a massive thanks to Ethan, who's been helping out with some of the content on this series. And a massive thanks to you too for tuning in. If you enjoyed it, send it to one of your mates on WhatsApp. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subs on Spotify, so any help is much appreciated. Cool. Fit Pick Breakdown's out later this week. See you then.
My mind is bringing